Welcome, everyone, to the special City Council work session for May 19th, 2025. Maria, would you call the roll?
Fritz,
Here.
Lowe,
Here.
McLaughlin,
Here.
Manetza.
Here. This evening's work session is a summary of the DDA Transformation Strategy by Shandi Poppy, DDA Director.
Hi, good evening. I just wanted to come and give you guys a quick update of what we've been up to for the last 6 months with the Grand Haven Main Street DDA. We've had a really intense 4 months of working on our transformation strategy and setting new strategic goals for the organization. And we've been up to a couple other things, so I just wanted to give you a quick update of what we've been doing. So every 2 years, we get accredited through National Main Street, and we accomplish that in the entire community. This year, we chose transformation strategy. The last time that we went through a transformation strategy was in 2017 and then in 2020. So we spent 2 full days getting a lot of feedback from the community. We had focus groups. We sat down with many of you and also looked at market data and some visitor data so that we could determine how we move forward and what goals we need to work on over the next 3 to 5 years. So the 2 goals that they suggested based on all of that feedback was community gathering, focusing on bringing the community together via activity, art, culture, entertainment, placemaking, and businesses in the downtown district, and active living for developing an environment that is entrepreneur-friendly and supports the growth and development and intentionality incentivizes businesses which serve the needs of the residents in the community and greater region. The focus could include specialty shops, or entertainment or activity that support needs of workers and residents in the community. With that, that gave us 5 more focused goals and more strategies that we can work on. And under each of those 5, we'll have several different tasks and things that we'll do with 1-year, 3-year, and 5-year goals for us to work on. So we're going to be very busy in this first year. The board approved these goals and all of the tasks at our last board meeting in May. So let's see that. And just to recap real quick, we had our 2024 and 25 goals that we set last year in January of 2024 with a focus on the community as a whole is a year-round destination for living, so always in season, building community relationships with different organizations and with the city, and creating a vibrant community with focusing our development within Grand Haven to enhance the variety of retailers and dining options while creating opportunities for additional housing. So we've had a really busy first 6 months, I would say, of this year, 2025. By keeping busy with that. So we worked on transformation strategy work session, which was back March 6th and March 7th. We spent 2 full days talking about all of the goals and all of the opportunities that Grand Haven has. We are currently working on a Vibrant Initiatives placemaking project, which will total approximately $200,000. We've applied for 4 different grants through national grants, through the MEDC, T-Mobile, and hopefully we'll be able to do a fundraising campaign as we hear back about whether or not we've been awarded those grants to create more gathering spaces and connectivity between downtown and Centertown. That will also help us with some sustainable projects like the flower beds that are downtown. One of the things that we've seen is there's been quite an increase in the inflation of flowers. And so we're trying to create more sustainable practices and save our money to help businesses better with different resources for them. Right before our accreditation, we also did a board self-assessment and really got feedback from all of our board members and our committee members of what our board is doing, what we're working on, where we can better focus our tasks and our projects, but also align with our accreditation and align with our goals moving forward for the next few years. One of the things that we've really accomplished over the last year or couple years has been our increase in social media engagement. We've had a 27% increase just in followers over 2023, which is huge for any social media. So we're really excited about that. We've gained about 2,000 followers on Facebook and about 1,100 followers on Instagram. One of the things that we get from National Main Street, which this is new, Michigan Main Street has created a contract with National Main Street to work with Placer AI to get visitor data so it supports some of the projects and some of the market data that we do. We are the only state in the entire country that has this contract with National Main Street. So we were a test state. So all of the communities that have a Main Street in Michigan were giving visitor data for every single day of 2023. So we know how many people actually come to the downtown district from a variety of different places. And obviously our biggest visitor traffic comes from our local traffic. So mostly right around Grand Haven Township, Spring Lake Township, and Ferrysburg, and then expands out to about an hour away from us. These are just an example of a lot of the goals that we had for each of our committees. I won't go through each one of them, but they've been very busy over the last year and a half. So this is that visitor data that I was talking about. What's interesting is it's kind of aligns with how the economy is moving just in general. We've actually seen a decrease, unfortunately, in visitor data or traffic to our downtown, which we're going to do what we can. We're in the process of working on our PSD renewal, which is the principal shopping district. With that PSD renewal, which it's kind of earmarked mostly for marketing, we'll be able to create a new marketing plan so that we can start to work on getting these back to an increase in visitor data. We were lucky that in 2024, the people that work at Michigan Main Street made a presentation, 2025, they made a presentation at our national conference in Philadelphia about this visitor data and how it's helping communities and how it's helping businesses and how we use that. We've used it by sharing it with potential businesses that are coming to Grand Haven who eventually signed a lease and now will be open downtown in the first block specifically because of this visitor data. As a thank you, Placer AI gave us all of the statistics for every day of 2024. So now we can compare all of the numbers from 2023 with 2024, which gave us these decrease percentages so we can see how we can make some changes. Every year, Michigan Main Street creates what is called an impact report. So it takes a lot of this data and then kind of condenses it into 4 pages. In these 4 pages, we can share with potential businesses, investors, volunteers. We can use it to drive sponsorship opportunities, a variety of different things. But it shows highlights of what we've done over the last year and a half. One of the first things that we've done is we created a new website. That website's interactive, so it allows people to search for different businesses that we have downtown, as well as services and parking, bathrooms, all of those things. That's right on our front page. I also worked really hard on creating a new board volunteer handbook that has a lot of detailed information to help new board members learn about what we do and how they can be helpful. And then we also planted pollinator pocket gardens up and down Franklin so that it increases interest and activity as people walk from farther away parking lots. You can see that we've done a lot in First Block. I've seen many of you down there this last summer, so we're hoping this summer will be just as much of a hit. But Kids Night has been really popular, and we're bringing that back, and probably bringing back Bluey Night. We don't have a specific date, but Bike Night's all set, and Magician Night is all set, so we'll have those again this year. We also have really great events that happen downtown. So our Wine About Winter is also one of our most successful events, and our biggest fundraiser. Bones About Town is very popular. Yoga in First Block in the morning has been really great too. So this is just a part of an annual report that I put together. It's our market data report. It's about 54 pages long. We've sent it out to all of our stakeholders. I'm happy to share it with you if I haven't already. With all of this market data, all of this visitor data, all of our goals and our transformation strategy information that we can share with business owners and potential investors to make Grand Haven even better moving forward. Lastly, we are celebrating 20 years as a Grand Haven as a Main Street community and 50 years as a DDA. And so we're going to be celebrating on September 11th from 6 to 8. So I'd like to invite anybody to come and celebrate with us so we can honor all the people that have worked in this position or have been on the board or have volunteered their time over the years. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Shandi. Questions? Comments?
The visitors data with the decreases and so forth. Why? What's your feeling?
I honestly think that it's probably a lot related to the economic situation that we're in, right? Inflation has caused people to not be able to afford, rental properties or hotels. But I also think that there's been so many changes in other communities and maybe not a lot of changes here in the last 5 years. But I think that we're headed in the right direction. We have a lot of new things that are coming. Chinook Pier will probably be built. The potential of some new things to create some excitement. So it was probably best explained to me by someone that said, Grand Haven's always been a high-level community. And we have a lot of low-level communities are doing something. And so the perception that we're not doing anything is wrong, but it's still a perception that can kind of throw off what people think of Grand Haven. We're still a high-level community. We'll always be a high-level community. But sometimes you just got to throw in something a little different there.
Yeah, I found it interesting. I was watching golf the other day, and Petoskey is just all over the TV.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think is that something that we should be doing in other markets to try to attract more people? Because, it doesn't look like Petoskey really needs a lot of help to grab people up to Petoskey. But they are spending oodles of money to talk about Petoskey. As slow as, as short as the commercials may be, they keep, they're throwing them in this market.
Yeah.
But have we ever contemplated that, or?
It's certainly been something we have thought about. The hard part is that we are funded, we have a very small funding because we have a TIF, but we also, our tax roll and our principal shopping district are very limited. And so it's very possible that Petoskey's got more money so that they can do some stuff.
Yeah, but I don't just mean you.
So,
I don't just mean the DDA.
Yeah.
You've got the Visitors Bureau, you've got the Chamber. I just can't believe that we can't all get together and put together some type of campaign, because, they put out the same visitors book every year, and they change the pictures, and it's basically the same thing.
Yeah. I'm actually starting to meet on a regular basis with both the Visitors Bureau and the Chamber president, so that we can start talking about ideas like this so that we can move forward with a joint effort to do something. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, sometimes sitting down and meeting with other people is a great way to come up with new ideas or things like that. But it's certainly been on our mind. It's finding a way to execute some of these ideas is a little bit more challenging.
Well, thank you.
I agree with you, Kevin. Maybe if we can advertise something like Grand Haven area, we can actually include Spring Lake, Ferrisburg, but if you put Grand Haven in there like they do for Petoskey area, we can bundle it into a nice view for people to look at.
Yeah.
Would really, really help out a lot.
Yeah.
I
We get-
agree, Kevin. We need to we gotta get on the map somehow. In order to do that, you have to throw yourself out there.
Yeah.
And if you can get the groups to work together and each of you fund a little bit, that comes out to be a large amount then.
Yeah. I agree.
Other than that, I enjoyed the Bluey Night, and I also have the book night down there that Mike does. It was fantastic. It's been, Nora comes down with her stuff for kids to do. It's just really good to have it down there for them. It's much better. I really enjoyed that a lot.
Thanks. They've been a great partner. Nora's been fantastic.
Bluey Night was over 2,000 people, I think it was. It was crazy
Yeah.
down there. It was just, the whole downtown was packed with people. So it was really, really good. So nights like that helps everybody else down there too.
Yeah.
Great update.
Thanks.
I would be interested, I don't think I have received, perhaps.
The market report.
The full market
Yeah.
report, because I'm a geek. I kind of like to read through all that stuff.
It's good
But it really
information.
looks great. The summary that's been provided for us here it's really great, and some great work. Keep it up.
Thanks. Thanks.
Yeah, I think that the DDA board has been working hard and working with you, and I think we're seeing good coordination, good communication. Excuse me. And I noticed that in your decreases, a lot of your decrease was September through May visits, 4% as opposed to summertime visits were pretty much level, that sort of thing. And I wonder too, if part of this is that suddenly you have a lot of data for a couple of years, but you don't have a long-term trend. So it'd be interesting to know as years go by whether these are just typical ups and downs and it's more like noise in the data, or if it's a real trend.
Yeah.
I don't think you know enough about it yet for that. Something I did hear quite a bit when Main Street folks were here, we talked about focusing less on events and focusing more on the everyday appeal of the downtown. So every day is a good reason to come to downtown, summer, winter, anytime. So that's probably a good way to focus on it, to say that we want to maintain our numbers all the time, and particularly for the locals and the residents, just to make sure that we're looking hard at the local appeal and servicing our community in that way. And I think that this kind of data and the kind of efforts you're doing now really promote that.
Yeah.
So we just have to keep that effort going.
Yep. Yeah. It's in the market data report. There's one section that talks about it's specific to an event. They gave us the opportunity to give us very specific demographics and traffic data for one event. So the event that we chose was Light Night. And they give us 4 years of, so it's longer than just 2 years. It's 4 years of how that traffic has changed over the years. And it's been consistently going down just a hair, like a small amount. So it's important, yeah, for us to have that longer term. So we're hoping that Michigan Main Street, National Main Street will be able to continue this contract with Placer AI, because it's been really beneficial to any of the communities in Michigan for us to have this information. So,
Okay, well, then we'll know how to keep things fresh.
yeah, yep. So,
Okay. Other questions, comments? Well, thank you. It's a very good report, and I appreciate what the DDA board and the Main Street effort is all about, and keeps us going. So thank you.
thank you.
And that was our only item of business on our work session. So I think I will close the work session, and we'll come back in about 10 minutes for our regular meeting. Monday, May 19th, 2025. Maria, would you please call the roll?
Fritz,
Here.
Lowe,
Here.
McLaughlin,
Here.
Manetza.
Here. This evening, the invocation is by Reverend Troy Hauser Burton of the First Presbyterian Church. Please rise and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
We're going to pray first? All right, let's pray. Dear wise and loving God, first, let's say thank you on behalf of all gathered here today. Thank you for the many and abundant blessings you've given us, for life itself, for health, for the need to fulfill our callings, for sustenance and friendship. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing appropriate responsibility. You've said that citizens ought to obey governing authorities since you've established those very authorities to promote peace and order and justice. Therefore, I pray for our mayor, for the various levels of city officials, and in particular for this assembled council. I ask that you graciously grant them wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and issues of our times, a sense of the welfare and true needs of our people, a keen thirst for justice and rightness, confidence in what is good and fitting, the ability to work together in harmony even where there is honest disagreement, and personal peace in their lives and joy in their task. Pray for the agenda set before them today. Please give an assurance of what would please you and what would benefit those who live and work in and around our beloved city. In your name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. This evening, we have one new appointment. Would you please read that?
Yeah. Appoint John Simeon to the Human Relations Commission with a term ending June 30th, 2026.
Can I get a motion?
So moved?
Support?
Motion by Fritz, second by Lowe. Any questions or comments on this appointment?
No question, but I just want to tell them thank you for volunteering to be on the board.
Absolutely. If not, then please call the roll.
Fritz,
Yes.
Lowe,
Yes.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Manetza.
Yes. Okay, that brings us to the approval of the consent and regular agendas. Can I get a motion for that?
So moved?
Second.
Motion by Fritz, second by McLaughlin. Any changes or comments or questions on the agenda? Anything from staff?
Nope.
Okay. Well, then would you please call the roll?
Fritz,
Yes.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Lowe,
Yes.
Manetza.
Yes. That brings us to our first call to the audience. This is one of two opportunities. This time, members of the audience may address council on any item, whether on the agenda or not. Those addressing council are asked to provide their name and address and will be limited to 3 minutes of speaking time. Council, for all comments for future consideration, will not have a response at this time. Those not physically present who would like to call may dial 616-935-3203. I'd also comment that there is going to be a public hearing this evening regarding the proposed rezoning of the Dake property. And if you have comments on that, you can save them. You can either say them now or wait until the public hearing is open. So who would like to address council at this time?
Hello, my name's William Brown. I live in 16310 Mercury Drive. I am representing some property that my family owns on West Ray Street. And I'm here to talk about the rezoning of the property and my thoughts on it. I think the proposed on the road forever. Grand Haven can't afford affordable housing because the property costs too much, which I think was quoted from Mr. Fritz. Well, you know what? This is their chance, right here. This could be our affordable housing. And you also own property across the street that was the future site of the library. I believe that's your last chance as a council to actually bring affordable housing to the city of Grand Haven. Thank you.
Thank you. Who else would like to address council at this time?
Good evening. Jim Hagan, 400 Lake. I'd like to talk about the new business item of the quit claim on 107 Washington. I've done a bit of research on it, and I've been told that there's been a lot of confusion on whether the 4 parking spots belonged with the parcel or not. And I use the Ottawa County GIS system quite a bit, and I think all professional real estate people should too. And what I saw on it, I went back to the year 2004, and it clearly showed that the parcel line on that 3rd parcel had not been extended as had the other 2. And this is true in every subsequent year, including this year. So I'm a little bit confused why there's talk of so much confusion when the Ottawa County site clearly shows that that parcel is shorter than the 2 parcels to the west. My initial thought was that we should get it assessed and offered to the LLC, which is the R. Vandenberg Holdings LLC. But after thinking about it some more, I thought a win-win is possible by just having a long-term lease. You know, lease it to the LLC, and they can pass on a nominal charge to the apartment dwellers above on the 2nd floor. It seems to me that that is a perfect solution. The city offers residents a yearly lease for 120 in selected spots. Since there was confusion on this item, why not just have the long-term lease? It doesn't have to be the 120, it doesn't have to be the 200, it can be some amount that the council sets. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Who else would like to address council at this time? There will be a second call to the audience at the end of the meeting. Of course, by that time, we will have concluded all of our business for the evening. So, and if you're saving your comments for the public hearing, that's fine as well. If no one else is coming forward, I'm going to close the call to the audience, and we will move on. Next, we have a presentation on the musical fountain by Jerry Troke, the musical fountain chair.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. My name is Jerry Troke, and I'm the chair of the Grand Haven Musical Fountain Committee and president of the Friends of the Musical Fountain, the nonprofit organization that promotes, supports, and raises funds for the fountain. Each spring for the past 3 years, I've had the privilege of being able to give you an update and a preview of our plans for the upcoming season, and so tonight have the honor of presenting to you our annual State of the Fountain address, as I coined it last year. And I can tell you once again that the state of our fountain is strong. We are slated to officially begin our 2025 season this coming Friday night, May 23rd, kicking off our 63rd season of nightly performances. We've actually been operating the fountain on Friday and Saturday nights for the past 2 weekends, but unlike past years when these May weekend performances were regular fountain shows, this year we dedicated those nights to song testing with the speakers turned off as our production staff took a hard look at new music prepared by our team of choreographers. As you may be aware, all songs that play on the fountain are thoroughly quality control tested prior to being made part of a nightly show playlist. Due to the unprecedented success of our choreographer recruitment and training program in late '23 and continuing through last year, we had many new songs in the testing lineup. We tested on Friday the 9th and Saturday the 10th, but this past Friday's storms forced a cancellation of that session. So we had a marathon session on Saturday night that lasted until nearly midnight. All of this effort resulted in a total of 56 new songs that had their choreography approved being declared ready for prime time. There are also 48 more songs currently in the hands of our choreographers. That doesn't include any special songs for the 4th of July or Coast Guard festival shows. These work in process songs will be tested as they are completed later on. Adding to these 2 groups of songs to the previous record, 88 songs completed last year, gives a grand total of 192 new songs either in process or completed and ready to play, and will allow us to move to a theme night approach with our playlists. The rapid growth of our song library has grown our theme show playlist from 10 in 2023 to over 30 for this season, If you haven't taken a look at our website to see what's on the docket for the upcoming shows, take a look at it. Some great graphics there generated by one of our committee members. It's going to be a great 2025 season with a very real, fresh feeling. Our weekly workday on the Hill has been moved to Thursday this year, and the so-called Thursday crew of 4 volunteers have been hard at work since the beginning of March. We also held our annual Volunteer Day on Saturday, April 26th, with a group of 18 helpful folks that actually represented more than 100% of the people who RSVP'd. I'm not used to that. Having people say, "Oh, come," everybody shows up. We got some extras, so that's good. A myriad of tasks were completed that day, and the Thursday crew has been hard at work on some of the more complex and time-consuming items, like rebuilding pump number 3, our second pump rebuild in 2 years, and beginning the process of rebuilding our 20 primary water control valves. We've known for some time that the internal parts of several of those valves had deteriorated over time, and we have parts in-house to rebuild all of them. I've got a little show and tell for you tonight because sometimes this stuff doesn't show up. So you take it apart. That side's not supposed to be like that.
They leak like crazy when they're like this, don't
They
they?
definitely leak like crazy when they're like that one. So far, we found 4 that look like that, and that's out of the 8 or 9 that we've rebuilt, so it's good that we're rebuilding all of them. Between the Volunteer Day and the Thursday crew, we've completed 30 more of the tasks on our major task list, so I can confidently tell you once again that the fountain is in better shape than it's ever been. And that's another reason why 2025 will be a great season. Looking ahead, we've begun the process of replacing the computers and monitors that store and play our shows each night. The current computers are reaching the end of their useful life, as is their Windows 10 operating system, which is slated to reach the end of its support life this fall by Microsoft. The new computers will run on Windows 11 and give us a better solution for making sure the computers are reliable, up to date, and easy to keep in sync with each other. You might also recall that I mentioned in my postseason report last October that we were looking into the viability of upgrading our LED lighting fixtures, which are now 12 years old and becoming less reliable and more costly to maintain as they continue to age. We spent significant time in the off-season testing the potential solution we identified last year, and the results of that testing show that the product is very robust and highly capable. We voted at our committee meeting last Wednesday night to move ahead with that upgrade project and the fundraising needed to support it. We'll be developing the specifics for that fundraising program to be reviewed and approved at our June meeting for rollout to the public in mid-June. Details on how donors can participate should be available by June 15th. I know I've said this before, but everybody in West Michigan loves the fountain, and they've proven that time and again, not only by their presence in the stadium, but by the donations that they've afforded to help keep it in good shape. All of our volunteers are proud to be a part of the effort to keep the fountain in great working order, and I want to thank the City Council and all fountain fans, wherever you might be, for your ongoing support of the fountain. Let's continue to work together to make sure that the fountain is forever. Any questions?
Thanks, Jerry. Questions, comments?
On this part here, how old is that part?
You know, I wish I could actually answer that. That could very well be an original part from 1962. I don't know that those valves have been changed out.
I was going to say the material it's made out of, I've seen it in my business. It's not a reliable piece of,
Well, you can see that
I
it
can
didn't
see
prove
where
to
it's
be
all failed.
reliable
It definitely is
long
failed.
term, so
yeah.
Well, we got 60 years out of it. What do you want?
that's
Wow.
true. That's true.
Jerry, thanks for all you do.
Yeah.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure.
I echo that too, so very much. Yeah, it's made of kind of rubber-like stuff, yeah.
Thanks, Jerry, and thanks to your entire committee for all they do. I know it's a big job year on year. And I guess really two committees, because there's the foundation, right, from raising money for it, and as well as the commission. So thank you.
And thanks to all your volunteer choreographers, all the people who put in countless hours putting the show together and keeping it fresh and lively and relevant. I mean, there was a time when I first got to town in the 70s that seemed like they had one show and they played it over and over. And now you have so many shows that you can't get them all in one season.
I do want to point out that one of our Thursday crew is our own very own Mayor Bob, one of those four guys. And we appreciate his skills and his desire to be up there and help us. We talk about people who have skills and don't have skills. People who have skills, you can turn them loose and say, go fix that. He's one of those kind of guys.
Well, it's fun finding those things. And even the ones that weren't torn up, by the time you break them loose from the flanges, they're kind of ruined, so you got to replace them anyway. So just the act of inspecting them requires a repair.
Yeah, I just want to just add to it. I've been around here long enough. I seen it when it was first built when I was a kid. My brother worked down there as taking donations when they used to come down in where the old coal docks were down there just to come see the fountain. It's come a very long way, and you guys have done a fantastic job of moving forward with it. It's made it more up to date. Geez, when you come out there and you see the Disney night, it's just absolutely crazy down. It's like looking down there and seeing maybe a Coast Guard Festival. So you guys are doing really a good job. I was going to say thank you to everyone that works on it. Thank you, Jerry.
And for anybody who has ever had a chance to get up there and look at it up close, it's an amazingly complex facility up there. It's like the factory on the hill. It's a little of everything there, a lot of technology, old and new, and it all works and kept working by dedicated people. So thanks for everything. Any other comments? That brings us to our consent agenda. Maria, could you read the consent agenda?
Item A, approve the regular council meeting minutes for April 28, 2025 and May 5, 2025. Item B, approve the bills memo in the amount of $1,307,348.93. Item C, approve a resolution to direct the city treasurer to issue fiscal year 2024-25 snowmelt invoices in the total amount of $76,011.94 to the applicable downtown snowmelt customers as designated on the annual snowmelt billing 2025 list provided. And item D, approve a resolution requesting Governor Whitmer and the State of Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy to expedite permitting for the United States Army Corps of Engineers to dredge Grand Haven's Inner Harbor.
Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support?
Motion by Fritz, second by Lowe. Questions or comments on any of these items? If not, would you please call the roll?
Fritz?
Yes.
Lowe?
Yes.
McLaughlin?
Yes.
Manetza?
Yes. All right, that brings us to our public hearing for the evening. This will be a public hearing regarding the zoning change request from transitional industrial to planned development and the associated preliminary development plan for the proposed South Village PD, which is located where the current date property is. As we open this public hearing, let's see. Oh, Brian did show up. Welcome back. Brian was out of town. He just got here. I'll have Brian Urquhart come to the podium, and you can introduce this in some detail, and I believe we'll have a very brief presentation from the applicants.
Yep, so this is a request to rezone what was formerly called or commonly referred to as the Dake property, known as the South Village Plan Development. This sits at the current addresses of 700 and 724 Robbins Road. So it's a large site, as we know. There's a significant portion of that back part of the parcel that is woodland and within our sensitive area overlay. The project includes a broad range of mixtures of types of housing, so a total of 189 units. We'll also have amenities, at least in the preliminary development plan, including a dog park, an outdoor pool, excuse me, a sun deck, pickleball courts, and then a community lounge. The intent of this plan development is to provide additional housing in the city on an underutilized brownfield site. The applicant is requesting multiple phase development, I believe two, that are comprised of single-family homes, flats, townhomes, row houses, and other community amenities. So the breakdown in the preliminary development plan consists of about 8 row houses, 108 flats, apartments if you will, 44 townhomes, and 29 single-family attached. For 100, yes, there's the plan that's showing up there. For a total of 189 units at a gross density of about 8.1 units per acre. So this is step 4 of a plan development process. Step 1 is a meeting with our team to see how feasible this is. That got through that, kind of see how it would work within this site. Step 2 was a work session with the planning commission where we maybe saw possibly some challenges, some issues that we may have seen and move forward. And they agreed to move forward with the preliminary plan that they had. Step 3 was a public hearing at the planning commission meeting, which was held last month. And obviously, we heard some concerns about density. We heard some concerns about any development you would have in terms of increase in traffic. And then some concerns there with the possibility of challenging with the wetland impact. With that being said, and some of the public comments that were addressed, you can see in the staff report that there was a long list of conditions that they'll have to satisfy, the applicant will have to satisfy before they come before planning commission approval. Most notably, draw your attention to the concern over 189 new units and traffic that may or may not have an impact on Robbins and some of the intersections that are there. And I'll let the developers speak to that a little bit more because they have made progress since the April meeting of the planning commission, is that a traffic impact study is to be submitted prior to the final development plan, which is the final step in this. A traffic impact study shall identify any solutions that may address any adverse impacts on the roadways resulting from this type of development. So it's going to look at some of the intersections, if there's going to be a level of service challenges there, if they need to have upgrades or maybe possibility to Robbins Road, elements of that, how it would affect some of those intersections. So that's kind of what's in the scope. I don't know exact timing on that. I'm sure they'll be able to explain, but that definitely, like any development, large-scale development, traffic is always a concern. We totally understand that. What isn't, though, is that you can see that with this proposed development, it will have 2 access drives. It'll have over 300 parking spaces, so parking will not be an issue, and it has passed through our preliminary review with our fire marshal to get a fire truck in through there from a spatial analysis. Talking about the rear, the southern portion of the parcel, is that they are working with Eagle, talking about the wetland impact and getting the necessary permits to be submitted and approved for any development within the wetland area. And so that would be a condition of approval. So what that means is that there are some of these unknowns that are still out there, but this is something that we place as a condition for them to continue to move forward with the design elements and some of the more technical details that would come forward with a final development plan, which is the 5th step of the process. So tonight, we're looking at the rezoning from transitional industrial to planned development, which is an opportunity that every parcel in the city of Grand Haven can become a planned development. When you look at some of those factors, is how does it fit in? Sometimes it doesn't. Most importantly, why we came forward with this, when they had this project and we identified this site, is because when we adopted the master plan 2 years ago, this site had a future land use plan or a category of industrial. It was changed to mixed-use residential or mixed-use development. And what that means is that part of your master plan is a zoning plan. And one of the compatible zoning districts, when you look at a rezoning application, which is what a plan development is, the plan development is a compatible zoning district for this project. So it has, in the motion that was by the Planning Commission, is that the preliminary development plan meets the needs of our future land use plan and our master plan, and the fact that 189 units would satisfy one of our goals for housing in the City of Grand Haven, to include a broad range of housing types, services, and for all parts of the population, and that it will provide a variety of housing types and density that will place users near some of the daily services. So we did want to make sure that to clarify that there are going to be 2 parcels that result from this. There is the JSJ parcel that will be carved out. That will be That's towards the west. That will not be part of this. That will remain its current use and remain transitional industrial. The remaining portion of it, they'll have a transfer of that parcel, all included into what is called the South Village Plan Development. I will also note that it's just a underlying zoning. The sensitive area overlay zone will remain on this particular rezoning. So we're not getting rid of that. And that is also a condition of approval for local review, regulation review, when it comes to the final development plan. And from what I can tell, we had some public comments that were submitted for the planning commission, but since then, I have not received any public comments regarding, at least written public comments for the public hearing tonight. There you go.
Okay, thanks, Brian.
Yep.
And the team from the developers would like to make a very brief presentation. Please introduce yourselves.
Yep. Hi, Chad Coster, 940 Floral, Grand Rapids. I'm not really sure what else I can add to that. That was pretty good. So, again, thank you for your time, all of you. Appreciate you very much. We are excited to share our vision for South Village, a new residential community we're bringing to Grand Haven. This project will transform a site currently occupied by a lifeless building and underutilized land into a vibrant, welcoming neighborhood. South Village is designed to offer beautiful, thoughtfully planned homes that cater to people at many different stages of life and income levels. From one-bedroom flats available for lease to spacious 3-plus bedroom townhomes for purchase. We're focused on creating housing that fits the needs of a wide range of Grand Haven residents, including singles, newlyweds, young families, empty nesters, and retirees. We understand the challenges people are facing in finding housing they can afford in Grand Haven. South Village is our answer to that need. And while we're still early in the process and don't yet have exact rental or purchase pricing available, we are confident that this development will help close the gap in meaningful ways. And again, Brian just mentioned a bunch of amenities, and I can go through those again, but the pool and the clubhouse and a dog park and outdoor seating and fire pits and pickleball courts and so much more. And all of these things are really designed to encourage community and connection. We have submitted our brownfield application to the city and anticipate further discussion on that front soon. We are also aware of and appreciate the public comments and questions that have been raised regarding this project. And I'd like to just touch on a couple of those real quick, and that is the environmental impact. And again, I just want to reiterate that there will be no impact to any wetlands unless and until a full review is completed and the necessary permit is issued by the state of Michigan Eagle. We are fully committed to environmental responsibility. The other is traffic concerns, and again, as Brian mentioned, a traffic study has been ordered per the Planning Commission's direction, and we will work collaboratively to address these findings. So we are here tonight asking for your approval to continue working with the city to move this process forward. We believe South Village will be a valuable and positive addition to Grand Haven. So with that, I mean, the team is here, Mike Boscraft, my partner in IMD Capital, his son Noah, Mike Corby with Integrated Architecture, and Eric DeYoung with Naderveld. And I think, Mike, you're up next. He's going to talk about the pretty pictures.
All right. Welcome.
I'll keep it brief.
Okay.
I do agree Brian did a great job of setting it up. I'll just give you a little bit of color to the plan that's in front of you beyond just the numbers. This is Robbins Road here. Our primary drive will be a boulevard and really a focus on walkability and maintenance of green space. We've got over 9 acres that we're preserving that will be green space. And I think it's not just the areas kind of on the south. We're also, you can see these large areas that we're preserving for green spaces, really going to kind of connect the architecture together with kind of the natural features. But primary entrance drive, just to kind of start to give more specificity to some of the different housing types. These will be the stacked flats, so the one-bedroom apartments that Chad mentioned earlier. We have some row houses in the front. Again, the idea was to have architecture be the thing that you experience. We put all the parking kind of in the back so that it's not kind of affecting the walkability where we're going to have the sidewalks and the street trees. And for instance, the kind of west central portion of the plan is going to be the townhouse type housing. So we're going to have 4 different types of townhomes, again, different sizes to be attractive to the different demographics that Chad mentioned. And then kind of on the south, where we are positioning the housing around and between the wetland areas, those will be the attached single-family homes. So those will be both single-level and 2-level homes. The centerpiece is our amenity area, our social and active space, so the pickleball courts, kind of our central building with the social area and the pool. We also have a dog park kind of nestled in to the site in the southeast portion of the site. Our retention area is positioned here on the south end of the site. The site slopes basically towards that, so that is the most obvious position for that. So again, really focused on creating a community within the community, a lot of walkability, a lot of preservation of green space. And as Chad mentioned, we are currently getting the traffic study to understand anything that might need to be accomplished on Robbins. And also we'll be pursuing the Eagle permit prior to our final PUD. So Eric DeYoung is here from Naderveld if we need to talk about any of the utility issues, but again, that's been at least at a preliminary level worked through. So,
Okay, and we'll be hearing from the public present here, and then if you guys want to stick around, be ready for questions from council, that would be great.
thank you.
Anything else you'd like to present before we go to the public?
No.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that. And at this point, I'll open the public hearing. And anyone present here would like to address council on this particular project, please come to the podium and give us your name and address.
Scott Mueller-Liley, 15166 West Ray Street. Thank you to the Planning Commission for requiring a full Eagle review of the wooded wetland area of the developed Dake site and for requiring a traffic review with a workable solution. Both actions reflect a responsible approach to land use. Just beyond the existing development footprint of the Dake site lies clearly observable wetland, standing water, and saturated soils. Ottawa County is facing serious groundwater depletion, particularly in the Marshall Aquifer. Through its groundwater sustainability initiative, the county has prioritized protecting recharge areas, wetlands included, as essential to long-term aquifer health. Scientific consensus confirms that wetlands help filter and recharge groundwater. The contribution must be understood before any land use change is approved. No development should move forward in this area without clear approval and oversight from Eagle. Traffic is also a major concern. Robbins Road already sees heavy use and features 2 existing bottlenecks at US 31 and at the 4-way stop at Sheldon and Lakeshore Drive. The addition of hundreds of daily vehicle trips from a high-density development will worsen congestion and elevate safety risk for drivers and pedestrians. Before final approval, a full Eagle review and practical traffic solution must be completed and made public. These are essential steps to protect water resources, public safety, and regional infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Daniel Mueller-Liley, 15028 West Ray Street, Grand Haven, Michigan. I've been a resident for 45 years. First address the rendering that they have up there. Our house is the last corner. If you see a little jog right down there, we're down. And below our house, there's water, and that water sometimes can be all the way to the railroad tracks. So the whole area that they're showing on the south end is actually into a wetland area, of which Eagle would have to approve or whatever. First off, not an issue about progress. Progress is great. But once again, we have a developer from Grand Rapids. They don't live here. They want to put something in an area. The town is Grand Haven. It's not grand housing. People come here because it's a haven. The amount of properties that are going in there are at least 3 times the amount that should be in that stressed area. From the last meeting we had with the Planning Commission, they mentioned the possibility up to 1,200 additional in-out traffics with 189 units. If they were to reduce that by a third, or to a third of that, 50 units, and that would cover the kind of the area. If you can see on the road that goes diagonally across there, remove the back part of that, density up that, then go vertical. Let's face it, Dake is an ugly building. And not only is Dake an ugly building, but behind the building, they had their chemical storage. So I'm not sure what kind, I didn't hear mention that they were gonna do environmental study on the property. We know we have PFAS issues with the island, and we had our water tested in '85, and it was basically considered unsafe for our kids to drink. Our property backs up on the high topographical area of the Vincent Drain, and this area they're showing is directly below that, and there is an aquifer that does run under our property because we had our well tap there, and they showed that as almost all water runs towards Lake Michigan. Traffic on it is another issue. This afternoon, 3 o'clock, I looked, road was on, Lakeshore is almost backed up to Hayes, and that happens pretty much every day. I don't know if you ever go across the road at Robbins Road and US 31, but with the new car wash, you're looking at it's almost impossible to get through there. Fifth Third Bank is on the other side, and we heard that there's a possibility of Holland Hospital will be building at the previously once thought library site across the street. Those are all adding more to the congestion, and quite honestly, we love Coast Guard Festival, but I don't know if anyone that lives here wants to have that traffic every day. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Rod Van Abema at 15046 West Ray Street. I would live right next to Daniel, and which is west or downwards from the right corner of the lowest buildings on the diagram. My wife and I, and previously my family, have lived there for 50 years. We love that part of town, and especially the woods which lies behind our house. One concern I have is about the trees. I believe it was stated at the Planning Commission presentation that most of those trees would be preserved. If you look at the diagram, you see that it looks very typical in that it shows trees lining all the driveways in the street, which is not where those trees are now. From my perspective, there are trees throughout that area, and I'm very concerned that I suspect it would be difficult to leave more than 10 or 15% of the trees there that are still there, that are there now. We've all seen many larger developments, and the majority have virtually no trees, and if they do, there are trees planted right along the streets. I'm concerned about the wetlands as well. As Daniel has noted, there's been water at times over the years in that interior area to the south end, and I have no idea what Eagle will say about planting homes there. The other big concern, perhaps the biggest that I've heard from my neighbors, a bunch of whom are here tonight, is traffic. Getting on Robbins Road at busy times off of West Ray is a little challenging, but when we add another, well, at the last meeting, it sounded like the number of cars that traverse Robbins Road going east and west in a day would roughly double. And on top of the actual traffic on Robbins, it's difficult to see how you'll create another intersection where the people coming out of this development have to get on and off of Robbins Road. So those are my main concerns. I have no problem with having more housing in Grand Haven, and especially if it's affordable. It just looks like there's too many here to make it work.
Thank you.
My name is Sherry Poole, and I live on West Stray also. I'm a neighbor. And I am, too, very concerned with everything they've addressed. And I also just wanted to point out, my biggest concern actually is the traffic on Robbins Road. I wanted to point out that with this high density, I don't know, no one has mentioned that school buses have to stop at the railroad track. And when you have people with families in this amount of homes in this area and then put school buses having to stop at the railroad track even adds more impact to the mess that's on Robbins Road. And I too agree with the car wash. It really is getting to be quite challenging at times, so.
All right, thank you.
Larry Hall, 14952 Westray. I'm in the carve out there on the southwest corner of that parcel. I overlook the wetlands there. My concern is that this site has been defined, a large portion of it has been defined as a sensitive area for a reason. There's a huge amount of wetlands obviously there, and obviously Eagle will do their work and define what is and isn't wetlands, but there's fewer and fewer sites within the city that are defined as sensitive, and once it's gone, it's gone. But this area supports, through my observations over the last 10 years, a large percentage of wildlife from obviously the deer, but you have turkeys and skunks and raccoons and a whole variety of animals that live back there that I see periodically. So I assume that the city will probably rezone this area, and I'm not opposed to housing. I've worked for a developer for a lot of years, but I just want to be sure that that area to the south off of the main body of the development is paid attention to as the developers develop it, if they do develop it. That area back there is, as my neighbors have stated, who have lived there much longer than I have, has a large amount of water on a, depending on the year. Obviously, this is not one of those years, but I've been there 10 years and watched that water be most of that space. There are some high spots there, but a lot of it is sensitive wetlands that needs to be carefully reviewed as the development evolves. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Jeffrey Miller. I live at 1120 South Harbor Drive. I apologize to the council. I probably should have brought these issues up prior at the commission meeting earlier, but I wasn't here in town at that time. My observation is that the multifamily dwellings do not have sidewalks, and that maybe it's my misunderstanding of the diagram. But one of the things I like about Grand Haven is every place is walkable and it's safe. So for a public safety concern, I would like to see or make sure that there are sidewalks for all of the buildings that are constructed on that site. Also, we have a lot of bicycle routes, including the route from Grand Haven down to Holland that goes along Lake Shore. And I would like to make sure that the traffic study incorporates or takes into consideration those bicyclists who want to go east to west on Robbins Road. So for public safety issues, both sidewalks and bicycle lanes, I think, should be considered or incorporated if they haven't already been, or if they're just not properly represented in the diagram. And then lastly, mass transportation. I would like for council or for the developers to confer with Harbor Transit to find out what their needs are, whether a bus stop would be appropriate or whether it's not needed or not. But as we grow as a community and try and reduce the number of vehicles on the roads, buses are an integral answer to part of the solution to this growing problem. And having a good bus stop would be good, whether it's appropriate at that development or across the street, again, would be for the traffic professionals to determine, but I would like to have that be considered as part of the consideration. That being said, I think the conversion, which is council's decision tonight, I think makes good sense for the community as a whole. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Who else would like to address council on this topic? If no one else is coming forward, we're going to close the public hearing. Last chance. All right, thank you all for your input. I'm closing the public hearing at this point. And that brings us to consideration of a resolution. Maria, would you please read this?
Consideration by City Council of a resolution to approve a zoning change request from TI Transitional Industrial District to PD Plan Development District and associated preliminary development plan for South Village PD located in what is commonly referred to as the Dake property at 700 and 724 Robbins Road, parcels 70-03-33-100-072 and parcel number 70-03-33-100-073.
All right, can I get a motion on this?
So move.
Support.
Motion by McLaughlin, second by Lowe. Okay, now, questions and comments from council, and feel free to ask questions of the development team.
I got a question for Brian. On a planned development, can we require them to have housing that's affordable? A certain percentage, making sure that it is affordable for people?
I believe the original proposal was 10% to be affordable. Is that correct?
We can require, is that,
Actually, I've got that number. I think that we have 11 units that we've set aside as income restricted to 80% AMI or below.
and is that for like families, or is it going to be your,
Sure, yes.
okay, just want to make sure we handle something like that, because
Yep.
Mr. Brown wanted to make sure we had some kind of affordable housing there for people, and I have to make sure that we have that here also. Can we go a little higher percentage? I'd like to see more if I can, myself personally.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what we've done is you have a policy in place here in Grand Haven that we are adhering to for that, in that policy.
Yeah, because.
Put forth.
Okay. That's just one of the questions. And do you have sidewalks?
Yes.
Okay, answer the question for him, that's why I want to make sure. And also, is there a chance for possibility, as we want to get into a transportation area in that, and I'm very adamant about having mass transit, because I own too many cars as it is already, and I tell you what, I'm a contributor to what's happening now with all the storms and that. I'm a big contributor. And I'd like to be less than that. Do you have an area possibly you can have for like Harbor Transit to come in there and have a drop off and pick up an area?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we are, again, the traffic study is going to address that.
Okay.
And we will certainly take that into consideration, absolutely.
Then Eagle addressed the wetlands and stuff like that, so.
Yep.
And after dealing with Eagle with our harbor out here, I know they're not fun to be with, so I'm sure they're gonna be very strict with you, because they've been with us just on simple things, so.
Things haven't changed.
No, it hasn't. Thank you.
I could just touch on a little bit of that real quick, is that the preliminary development plan kind of just gives a spatial layout of the buildings, parking, some of the other elements, even though it's not shown right now, and that was brought up during the planning commission meeting, was the fact that we needed a sidewalk connectivity there. Have that neighborhood component, that kind of that neighborhood feel. And when it does, get the level that this type of use is appropriate to rezone it, that all those details and more would come before for the final development plan. The screws
Very
to it in
good.
that
I just
regard.
want the planning commission to know that's the reason why I brought this up.
Yep.
If it goes on record, they can actually understand that we want to see something there that
Yeah.
is helping for the community and also for the neighbors, and I will make sure that it's all there.
Yep,
Because tonight we're just doing a change in zoning, so,
correct.
but yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
I am going to support this, this resolution. I think it's important that, we're following our master plan that Brian and everybody worked very hard at. The development plan conforms to the future land use and zoning plan in the adopted master plan. There's a variety of housing choices, which I think is unbelievable. I really give you guys a lot of credit for that. It's exactly what I think Grand Haven needs. So there'll surely be a lot of other discussion after you get your studies all done and you go back before Mr. Dora and the Planning Commission again. But at this point in time, I'm absolutely going to support this.
Thanks, Kevin. Any comments?
Yes. Our decision tonight is really, this resolution is about approving the zoning from transitional industrial district to a PD plan development. And that's really the decision before council. And you've provided all of the documentation from the Planning Commission where I think the vote was 9-0 approved.
Correct.
With a number of conditions, and they're not easy, I know, but there's a lot in there to address concerns that have been voiced here tonight, including the Eagle permits around the wetlands, the traffic study, et cetera, that included not just a study, but solutions to that, or proposed solutions to that. So I am comfortable with, I support approving this resolution tonight.
Okay, thanks. So Brian, I know I attended the Planning Commission public hearing. I heard many of the same concerns, and they're excellent points being brought up by people who are most closely affected by them. I understand the sensitive areas part, the wetland and all that. Our ordinance allows for sensitive areas to not be negatively impacted, I think is the language in it. And there's always going to be an impact to a sensitive area on it or adjacent to it. So there's some compromise there. Eagle will guide us through that because I believe this is a state-regulated wetland area. It's large enough. It's more than 5 acres of wetland. So Eagle will certainly take the lead on that. We also have a local responsibility to our sensitive areas. But that was never meant to preclude all use of land. It was intended to preserve what makes sense to preserve, so you still have a functional sensitive area. And I understand that that will be something that we'll be looking to an outside regulator for. The traffic study will be interesting. That is a busy road, and this is going to be considerably more traffic on it. And I believe that's underway. I believe that that's been ordered, that they have begun measuring traffic and counting. And you're always going to assume that when you add residences to an area, there will be some impact on traffic. And unfortunately, that's kind of the way it is. As far as mass transit, we have Harbor Transit as a demand response system, so whether you had a bus stop per se or not, you could still have Harbor Transit respond to individual addresses within the site. So I think that this could still be well served by Harbor Transit as is. And it's one of those changes tough, and it's going to be inconvenient for some. What we have now is a blighted piece of property, an old abandoned factory. I know that there is vinyl chloride in the ground. I don't know what else, that there's a plume that's been gradually being cleaned up over time, and that there's more to be done. The developers alluded to a brownfield application, and I don't know if they're planning on doing a housing TIF. I'm sure that that'll be coming out soon enough. If they do, that will also require a certain amount of affordable housing component. And I know that the ordinance does require, I couldn't find it right away, the ordinance does require a certain level of affordable housing to be included. But I also know that there have been times when that's been waived by the Planning Commission, either because of financing costs, difficulty of doing it, one reason or another. So it's one of those, I think, that we'll have to be diligent in our expectations. And yes, as Karen said, and as others have said, the question before council is whether or not to approve the rezoning. Well, the preliminary development plan is integral to the rezoning of a planned development. So what we've seen for this plan would be what I would regard as a maximalist plan. It's everything that they would ask for on this plan. If they had to reduce because of either wetland issue or traffic issue or something else, I think the rezoning would still be valid. If they wanted to add to it, then we would have to revisit the preliminary plan, possibly revise that and go through the process again. I think the opportunity is still there for revision to the plan. It would be likely if there was some reason to take something out of it. And I'm not saying that they should. I'm saying that there's a lot of information that is still pending. The Planning Commission will have to sort through in the final development plan. I would like to see this property become useful and become, stop being like the blighted south end of town that used to be industrial and used to be productive and no longer is. And I'd like to see more housing in this community. The mix between market rate housing of all the various levels that it can be, affordable housing at the 80% level or lower. Those are all details in housing, but we need housing. We need housing of every level. Every housing study we've had has said that regardless of whether you have high-end market rate or low-end or subsidized or whatever, and this would not be subsidized, this would be possibly an affordable level. We need all that housing. We need a lot more than this project offers us. We have other projects in the queue for more housing in this community. And until we build more housing, we'll always have a housing problem, we'll always have a housing deficiency, and that in itself drives up the cost of housing. So I think that building housing to the extent that it makes sense on this site is going to be good for the community. It will definitely change the landscape and it will change the character of that area. And so we try to make that as good as we can. That's why we do planning, we have zoning, we have all these conditions on this rezoning. So I think that kind of, my feeling here is that this should proceed, that it will probably proceed, possibly with some modification, certainly in reaction to all the information that's going to be gathered, and that the final plan will be approved by the Planning Commission, and that this rezoning is council's basically seal of approval on the concept and on the general parameters that we've been presented.
Yep.
So after all that, that's my way of saying I think that this is a good project, that it needs to proceed and it needs to proceed thoughtfully, and all the bases need to be covered.
Yep.
So, any other comments or questions? Any details you'd like to hear from the team here? Okay.
I believe that it has to go through 2 readings like any other.
Correct.
So this is introductory, and then we'll come forward.
Yeah, this is an amendment to the zoning ordinance, so this is a legislative action. So this action requires 2 readings by council before it can take effect, and then after the ordinance is changed to allow this to be a PD, then the Planning Commission can have it back.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, ready.
Any questions on this? All right. If there are no other questions, I guess I would entertain a motion.
You took a motion
make-
for it.
I think we had.
Oh, we did?
We already
Okay.
have a
Well, I
motion.
guess I'm already entertaining a motion. Excuse me.
Otherwise, we couldn't
Yeah, we did
discuss
take
it.
a motion to have this
I
discussion.
have
There you go.
McLaughlin as moving and Councilmember Lowe is seconding.
Yes.
Yes, you're
Yes.
correct. Yeah, I was in my planning commission mode for a moment there.
All right, ready?
Okay, so anyway, are we ready to vote?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, please call the roll.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Lowe,
Yes.
Fritz,
Yes.
Manetza.
Yes. So this is the first of 2 readings on this rezoning.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your input, for your thoughtful attendance here. We do really do appreciate the public response. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's because they live next to it. It's because the property goes like this. Nobody goes across the street. What do you mean they go across the street?
All right. As the crowd settles down, would you please read our first item of new business?
Yep. New business, item A, consideration by City Council of a resolution to confirm the appointment of Michael England as Director of Public Works for the City of Grand Haven. Administration recommends approval.
Can I get a motion?
So moved?
Support.
Motion by Fritz, second by McLaughlin and Lowe. I think that was a tie. I don't know what's going on back there, but it looks pretty weird. Oh. Ashley, would you like to speak to this?
Yeah, I'm afraid to know what's on those signs. But yeah, I'm really pleased to be before you this evening with this recommendation for you to confirm. Mike joined us just a short 6 months ago from the city of Allegan, and he's served as our streets and utilities manager at that point in time. And again, just very quickly, his character and integrity and authenticity just really shone through, became very apparent as told by the amount of staff that powered through that public hearing this evening. But again, I think the team and the administration just has full confidence in Mike's abilities, and we feel that he'll be, his skill set and his leadership style will be a tremendous asset for the team.
All right, thank you. Would anybody like to embarrass Mr. England by having him come to the podium? Yeah, okay, come on up.
Thank you. I come to you very humbled tonight. It means a lot that these guys are in the audience tonight for me, to support me. You know, I had this big, long thing in my head, what I wanted to say, but Jerry kind of stole my thunder with the whole pride thing, and the pride that he shows in the musical fountain. That's what I want to bring back to the DPW, and I really think I can leave a good imprint on this community, and I'm excited to do that. And thank you for everyone that has stood by my side, and I'm very glad to have the team around me that I do. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We're ready to vote on this? Please call the roll.
Fritz,
Yes.
McLaughlin,
Wholeheartedly, yes.
Lowe,
A big yes.
Manetza.
Yes. Congratulations, thank you. Now, don't get too used to that.
Since you haven't voted yet, but Joel, I need to see you in my office first thing in the morning.
We've already voted.
Yeah, we already voted, so.
Yeah, there
All done.
So
You're there.
There you have
You're
it.
done.
Have fun.
Okay. All right, well. We don't have any swearing in or anything like that, do we? No.
Nope.
No, okay.
On to budget.
All right, we'll move on.
On to the boring stuff.
Next item, please.
Consideration by City Council of a resolution to approve the proposed fiscal year 2025-2026 budget, millage rates, 1% tax administration fee, fee schedule, and capital plan for the City of Grand Haven fiscal year beginning July 1, 2025, and ending June 30, 2026. Administration recommends approval.
All right, can I get a motion on this?
So moved?
And second.
Motion by Lowe, second by Fritz. It's been a long process, and here we are. Would you like to make any comments or bring Emily up?
Yeah, I don't believe we have anything additional to add. There have been no changes since the public hearing, and the budget is as it stood at that point.
Okay. No surprises?
No surprises.
Okay. Any questions, comments?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to amend the rental housing short-term annual registration fee from $165 that's in the budget to $500 per year. That would be paid over a spring and fall payment to make it a little bit easier for the owners.
So this would be, you're proposing for an annual fee as opposed to an initial fee?
Yes, right, 165 to 500, that's what, 165 is what is in the budget.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, there was an initial fee set in there.
Right, but that's,
So your motion would get rid of that?
no, initial fee would still be there, and this would be on top of that. You have an initial fee.
Yes? Of
And
500?
then
500 and some?
Right, so that stays, but then there's also in I gotta look, I should
So
look
it would
at it
be,
again.
so
The
your first year would be,
165 would increase to
annual fee.
500. The annual fee would increase from 165 to 500.
so then the first year they pay 1,000?
No.
No, just the initial fee.
They pay the
So
initial fee, and then in
you're
the
saying
next year.
annual
Right,
from that point on?
exactly.
Okay, just wanted to be clear because
Yep,
it got restructured in the.
yep.
Okay, so I have a motion to amend the fee schedule on the short-term rental
Mhm.
by McLaughlin. Is there a second? There's no second, the motion will die for lack of a second. All right, well, so the amendment doesn't proceed. Anything else? Please call, well, so we haven't modified the main motion, so please call the roll.
Lowe,
Yes.
Fritz,
Yes.
McLaughlin,
I abstain.
Can't abstain.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't, you have a duty to vote, unless you have a conflict of interest.
I can abstain.
No, you can't.
Can't?
You
No.
can't. Okay,
Manetza.
yes. All right, well, it passes.
Your Robert Rules of Order.
Next item, please.
Item C, consideration by City Council of a resolution to quitclaim a portion of parcel number 70-3-20-405-010 as described in Exhibit C of the quitclaim deed to Robin Vanderberg, property owner at 107 Washington. Administration recommends approval.
Can I get a motion on this?
So move.
And second.
Motion by Fritz, motion by McLaughlin, second by Fritz. Questions, comments? Well, you ought to,
Could someone do an overview?
yeah,
of
could we get an
this, please?
overview on this? This is a complicated one.
Sure, I could just briefly give a broad overview of this item. We've been working with the property owner at 107 Washington for some time now to dig into, historical records regarding the parking spaces behind her current facility at 107 Washington. So this request is to deed that approximately 925 square foot space behind 107 to that current property owner. Over the past 30 years, those spaces that are in question have been treated as private, they've been perceived as private. The city has record of billing said property owner for the maintenance and snow removal on those parking spaces. So in an effort to try to correct that circumstance, we're recommending deeding those spaces back to that building. It looks as though at one point in time, all other property lines were extended out except for that one piece. We do not feel there is an equivalent property in a similar situation that would compare to this one, that this would create any sort of precedence. These spaces are otherwise not of any value to the city, and again, have been historically perceived and even billed to the property owner as private. And again, spoke with the property owner again today. She's in the audience. She does intend to, if deeded tonight, immediately combine those parcels. She's not opposed to modifying the quitclaim to be the LLC, but either way, they will be combined.
Okay. Would it be important to modify the quitclaim deed to reflect the change of entity?
We could have that in your resolution wording, and I don't believe either attorney saw an issue with how it's drafted tonight. But if it's a matter of comfort level, we could modify that to be in the name of the LLC.
Okay, but I leave that to council if they're more comfortable with that then, because it sounds like it would work either way.
Correct.
Is there no objection from the property owner? No? Be okay? Nope.
Robin, would you like to take the podium?
Robin Vandenberg, 1006 South Harbor. I didn't hear the question.
I think the question is, some members of council might feel more comfortable amending just the resolution so that it goes to the R. Vandenberg LLC as opposed to just you personally, since
That's
the
fine. I'm going to
owner
combine the
of the
properties.
parcel, right?
Yep.
So could we correct, I could make a motion then to modify the resolution?
Yes.
That'd be
All right,
great.
I'd like to do that. And instead of to Robin Vandenberg, it should be to, is it R. Vandenberg LLC, is that correct?
Holdings LLC.
Holdings LLC?
And that's the same entity that owns the building?
What's that?
That's the same entity that owns the building?
Yes.
I'll second your motion.
So I have a motion by Lowe, second by Fritz, to amend the resolution to reflect our Vandenberg LLC.
Holdings
Vandenberg
LLC.
Holdings
Holdings
LLC.
LLC, yes.
Correct.
Sorry.
Whatever the.
Let's vote on that before we proceed. So this is an amendatory motion just to change the name on the resolution. So whenever you're ready to call the roll.
Lowe,
Yes.
Fritz,
Yes.
McLaughlin,
Yes?
Manetza.
Yes, okay, now let's continue discussing the main motion. So, any other comments or questions?
No, I don't have any questions. Mr. Fritz asked me to look into this with Ms. Vandenberg, and I went through an awful lot of documentation that you put together for years and years and years. And I found it, I can't imagine why this wasn't done a long time ago. I really don't. And
It was dropped from the deed, I'm convinced of it.
Yeah.
It happened to a second property of mine.
But I'm glad it's going to finally come to, hopefully, that if it passes tonight, that it finally comes to where it should have been a long time ago.
I agree, Kevin. That's why I asked if you would take a look at it also. I looked at it and read all that over, and being a long-time history here, I didn't understand why that one piece of property, and all the times that you've owned it, you've actually maintained it, you kept it clean, you did everything else out there, and you spent a lot of money doing it. I thank you for taking care of that property for a long time, but even though it should have been a straight, if you're in planning, you don't like jagged teeth, Brian can attest to that. It doesn't go like this, you know, you want it to have it smooth across back down there, so. Thank you for all your documentation, so it helps a lot.
I think the additional information that you provided tonight too about the fact that you've been paying, well, some of this documentation that you're talking about, been paying the city maintenance on property that, yeah, so for how many years? So that's, you know, I think this is a creative, way to resolve what's happened in the past, and for us all to move forward is to go ahead and quit claim. So I'm in support of that.
And I think that my concern's been addressed, that in conveying this 925 square foot chunk of land, that we're not creating a new parcel. It's a parcel which will be immediately incorporated into your existing parcel. So they're basically just extending the lines so that it's not become a little orphan in the middle of the block. It will truly be part of your parcel, and if there's any assessment, adjustment, or anything like that, that's in the hands of the county assessor, but that's really not our concern. Our concern is that we clean up our map and that you are able to use those parking spaces, and it'll serve the business of your building better. So, and I think, I also have been through this entire file that you gave me about a year ago. It's been at least that long since we talked about this. And there's a lot there. And when I say that there's a lot of context and a lot of history, there really is. And I'm sensitive to that as well.
It's a very original part of the city, and a lot of things.
It's a mess. The property lines in this part of the city are a mess. But they are what they are. It's an old city. Okay, and I will note also that because transfer of city's property rights, conveying property rights, it requires 4 positive votes on council to pass. On that note, if there's no other comments or questions, you please call the roll.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Fritz,
Yes.
Lowe,
Yes.
Manetza.
Yes. Very good. And that brings us to report by city council. Who would like to go first?
I'll go, of course. I'll speak up. This weekend was kind of a packed weekend for me. My son went to Nashville to a wedding, and I ended up with the grandkids. Boy, I tell you, a 4-year-old and a 1.5-year-old, it was quite a different feeling for me. It's been a long time since I had little kids. But I tell you, we made the best of it. We went down to Jeep Fest. They enjoyed themselves down there immensely. They were just crazy over it. Plus, you have the ducks. That's all they kept saying, ducks. My 1.5-year-old kept saying duck the whole time. And we went out to the kite festival and got to enjoy the kites. It was unbelievable. The highlight of the whole thing was the maritime exhibit at the museum. Not only did we go on Saturday, but they woke up Sunday morning and go, let's go to the museum. They want to go back and have more fun. So they got this paintbrushes and stuff, and they were out there painting inside there, having a good time, and up and down, walking the catwalk. So I want to say thank you to the museum for putting something in there for kids to have a fun time. My grandkids loved it, and of course you get to push the button, hear the foghorn and everything on that order, so it was kind of neat. It's a hands-on for them. They had a great time, and they got to sit in the window, and people walking by, waving at them. They enjoyed every bit of it. Other than that, one thing. What about those Tigers, huh? Come on. Come on, you guys got to love the Detroit Tigers right now.
Long season.
Reminds me of '84.
Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay.
First, I'd like to thank Ashley and our building inspector for taking care of that issue that we've been dealing with in my neighborhood, and I appreciate you taking care of that. And I'd like to also give a shout out to Chief Hudson. I had an email that I received over the weekend about traffic on Grand, and I asked her to take a look at it, and she responded very quickly, and I thank her for that. And kind of gave the flip side of what's really happening on Grand, and I think the property owner got a little lesson in what's going on Grand, and I want to thank you for that, Chief. That's it.
All right, thanks, Kevin. Karen?
First of all, I'd like to do a shout out to our entire Department of Public Safety. I think we missed this, but about a week ago, we had a National Police Week. And if you didn't know it, and thank any of our officers from DPS, you should, because they put their lives on the line every day, and today was no different. So I just want to do a little shout out to you and thank you, Chief, and all your officers. I also want to thank you again. We had some terrible storms this past week. Our Department of Public Safety, our Department of Public Works, and the BLP were all out in force, and I know that was a couple nights in a row. It was pretty rough, but I want to thank you all for all you do for our city to keep us all safe and with the lights on. And last but not least, we did have a really busy weekend here in the Grand Haven area, on top of Kite Fest and Jeep Fest. The township sponsored the Armed Forces Marathon. I don't know if any of you were aware. That's something that was pretty incredible, and my daughter actually ran in it. So we were really happy to be there, but quite a busy weekend in the Grand Haven area. That's all I have.
All right, thanks. And yes, we've had a couple of weeks here. So the storm recovery, that was something else. I mean, it was the storms that came through Thursday and then lighter version on Friday. All you guys in the room here, basically working around the clock, knocking yourselves out, trying to keep the roads open and get everybody so they can move around and be safe in this community. All the public safety folks who were out there in the storm, and BLP guys trying to find all the downed lines and put them up and just get us back to business and get us back to a safe situation. And that's what the people of this community expect. And you guys came through. Thank you for that. We had a number of other things going on. A week ago, almost 2 weeks ago now, we had the groundbreaking at the Christian High School. The Christian, Grand Haven Christian School over on Colfax. That was a $12 million expansion there. That was a pretty good event. They had everybody out there and got the whole school out there for it. We tore all the decking off from the Riverview deck. That was everybody from City Hall was down there, and you had DPW guys down there helping with that, and some BLP guys, and so we were down there pulling out boards and throwing them in a dumpster. And now I see the roofers are just about done with their piece of the job and we're ready to put new decking on. So there's another one that we, major capital job, but a lot of people came in and helped out, and that makes the job move a little faster and maybe save a little bit of money, but it was a great community spirit. I did attend the PC meeting where we had the public hearing on the downtown hotel. A lot of good questions, answers to be coming forward on that. And I think next month we'll see that on our agenda, similar to tonight's public hearing for rezoning. I went to the Safety Patrol celebration by the Eagles.
Yep.
Mr. Fritz and I were there, and as was Ashley and some of the public safety folks. Got a nice demonstration of the dog biting Chief Hudson on the arm. So that was always exciting. She sure let go of that sleep pretty fast. But all those kids, man, the amount of energy in that room was something else. Those kids were just excited to be there. When it was their turn to go get pizza, they didn't hold back. So that's a great event the Eagles puts on. I attended a meeting of the Michigan Municipal League Energy and Environment Committee. It's a lobbying committee. We've reviewed 9 different bills that are in the legislature, took positions on them. One of them had to do with shoreline erosion, different measures. That's been kicking around the legislature for a while. We incorporated some of this in our zoning ordinance, so we're kind of ahead of the curve on this one. There was others on there about fees for injection wells and various things that have to do with environmental measures and such. They're all interesting. Some of them we supported, some of them we were neutral on. But they're all things in the legislature, and if we don't keep an eye on them, if the Michigan Municipal League doesn't watch out for us, then you never know quite what you're going to end up with. So I'm glad that they're doing that, and I enjoyed being a part of it. Then this past weekend with Jeep Fest and the Kite Festival and all the things going on, I think we're getting into full gear with our summer events here, and the ball's kind of rolling now. The barricades started going up downtown. I saw that this morning, so we've got the first block more or less closed down. They're setting up picnic tables, and it'll soon be back in business. And then we'll be having Memorial Day this coming weekend. So, lots going on. So,
Go ahead. I got one more thing to say, too.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think people realize, how fortunate we are in Grand Haven between our DPW staff and the BLP and what they do in times of crisis. It was unbelievable what you guys did from a DPW standpoint, and then the BLP being able to getting the power back on. My sister lives in Spring Lake, and she didn't have power until Sunday night. So it gives you some idea of how great, our crews are to make sure that we have power and our city is safe as after such devastation that went through the city. But I want to thank you guys too.
I agree with you, Kevin, 100%. We have such a great crew. I remember some of the crews from way, way, way back. Today is by far one of the best crews we've ever had. But what I also want to say, I forgot to say, is that Sheldon and Waverly, these guys, I'm talking about the ones that come in here and they're putting all this underground stuff in, have destroyed Sheldon. We've spent a lot of money in there making it such a nice road, and it's almost 20 years old, and it's lasted this long. They did a fantastic job. These guys come in here and they destroyed it. You go down there now and you feel like you hit every bump. They got speed bumps in it now. It's terrible. Look at Waverly. Waverly's terrible. I mean, just drive around town. Wherever they go, they're destroying our town. I don't know about anybody else has got any phone calls from constituents and that, but I've gotten them. They're telling me, saying they're really upset with them, what they're doing in our town. And I says, they got the right of way, they can go in there, but you don't have to let them on your property. It's your property. If they want to back their equipment up, charge them for it. If they're going to put equipment on your property and they start drilling, charge them for it. I mean, that's what you should do, because if they're going to be on there, you make sure they do it. But I am upset about them destroying our streets. We put a lot of money into it. We put money into it all the time. Our guys are working hard. We don't need them to come in and destroy it. Make sure that we get them taken care of for it. I've already discussed it with our new director a little bit. He understands it too. He's pretty upset. Everybody's upset. I just want to make that statement, is that we need to take control of our town from these guys.
Well, I don't recall the name of the act, but there was an act not too many years ago that kind of preempted our ability to say no to some of these utilities when they come in and want to use our right-of-way. So we have to accommodate them.
In the right-of-way.
In the right-of-way.
But
The right-of-way goes all the way up.
Personal properties.
It goes all the way up to the sidewalk.
But they're on front lawns.
Yeah, and they did that to my front lawn once too, and I had to move.
Have them remove it.
So, anyway, yeah, we're kind of limited in our ability to say no to that. All we can do is try to make sure that they're responsible for the damage they do and that they fix it. And we keep an eye on them so they don't make it worse. So, there again,
Nothing else, that's it.
yeah, every time we get preemption from the state, we end up with stuff that we would rather not have.
That's true.
So we just got to watch that. All right.
Okay. Just very quickly to piggyback off of Councilmember Lowe's comments about rounding out National Recognition Week for our law enforcement community. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention we're also now embarking on National Public Works Week. So an appropriate time to celebrate those in the room, as well as those who serve our department day in and day out. Again, as you all mentioned, just times like we experienced with the storm on Thursday through Friday, just could not be more grateful for the team that we have, whether it be Public Works, Public Safety, BLP, and just the tremendous amount of work that they put in tirelessly. We've really got something special, and I just encourage you to, if you see any of our team out on the streets or in the parks or in our facilities, just to say thank you. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that brings us to our second call to the audience. At this time, members of the audience may address council on any item, whether on the agenda or not. Those addressing council are asked to provide their name and address and will be limited to 3 minutes of speaking time. Council will hear all comments for future consideration, will not have a response at this time. Those not physically present who would like to call may dial 616-935-3203. Who would like to address council at this time? I don't see anybody running for the podium. If nobody would like to address council, we will adjourn this meeting. Thank you all for coming.